Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're doing another Attack on Titan video today. Attack on Titan episode 15 of the final season. We only got one more episode left, but before we get into the video, tonight on the King of Anime podcast, we're having a special episode. We'll be covering episodes 14 and 15. It will be live. Let me tell you guys, you want to be there. Once again, a special episode of KOA tonight at 8 p.m. EST over Attack on Titan episodes 14 and 15. So be sure to subscribe as well. Later in the next season, we're going to be covering Fruits Basket, the final season, To Your Eternity, and much more on that show and on this channel. But anyways, today's episode had a lot of crazy stuff going on. It had Zeke's plan, Levi's status, and a lot of more crazy stuff, but we gotta go ahead and get right into the video, so let's do it. So the episode begins with a flashback. We see Zeke as a child. I don't think we've seen that in quite a while. I think it's been since season 3, like a full-fledged flashback. There's actually a reference in this first episode to the first episode of Attack on Titan, which is, it is as small as a birdcage, Liberio. This whole sequence is really building up to Grisha telling Zeke to remember this time and that he is the key to saving the world. Well, this is kind of the beginning of the, I say, undoing of the relationship between Zeke and his parents, sadly. Then we see that the Casaver, or whatever his name is, Saver from the last episode, please help me, I don't know how to pronounce it, put in the comments below. We see him, and it turns out that he is actually the holder of the Beast Titan, so that gives an answer to that. Pretty cool in developing and reestablishing the relationship that Zeke had with his parents before all of this bad stuff went down, but as we see as the episode goes on, it gets a lot worse. But Zeke as a child, he has a lot of issues. He's underperforming, and that's really just because Grisha keeps pushing Zeke in this direction to be the savior of the world. And it's a very highly unrealistic expectation to put on a kid at such a young age. He just yearns for a normal life to play ball with his dad. He's not getting any actual interaction with his father that a normal son and father would get. And to him, he feels like he's probably being cheated out of something there. And from the very beginning, it really seems like Zeke really looks up to his father, but that relationship, just because of the way Grisha handles things, it just never really develops beyond that initial respect he has for a parent like him. And by the end, he doesn't even really see him as a parent, which is beyond sad. So one day coming home from training, Zeke actually meets Dr. Casaver. The fun thing about this is he talks about how he isn't useful in combat, and so he starts to play ball with him. By the way, is one of Zeke's things that he wanted to do. He's giving that to Zeke, which is funny because he's the Beast Titan. But he talks about how he's not useful in combat. If we see Zeke and the way he fights, it's much like how he played ball with Casaver. So that's how he developed his fighting style, which is really, really cool to think about, honestly. But what really is not cool is Zeke is being pushed harder and harder by his parents, in particular Grisha, but as well Dina, she of course has a play in this. He's being overwhelmed by these arguments that they're having. Grisha is putting more and more faith into Zeke. He's still a kid, and I think the pressure is just getting to them. He's not getting enough positive reinforcement. He's just being pushed and pushed and pushed. He's not having time to take a break. He's always studying, he's always working, and that's a part of Grisha that for Zeke, it doesn't compute with him. It doesn't work, right? Juxtapose that with the continuation of this scene with Casaver telling him to not become a warrior, not to become a Titan because it would shorten his lifespan. Whereas you have Grisha telling him to become the Titan and the savior of humanity. It's such an unrealistic and unfair thing to put on Zeke at such a young age. And he tells, interestingly enough, Zeke about why he became a Titan, and he really just wanted to figure out the secrets of the Titan. He didn't even want to become a warrior necessarily as much as he just wanted to figure out how all of this happened. What he wanted to know was what Ymir came in contact with all of those thousands and thousands of years ago, which I think is a fair motivation for him. He's a very unique character because of this, because it's one that I don't think we've seen in many of the characters. Most of them have their own unique outlooks on what becoming a Titan means for them, and it seems everyone has a different goal and endpoint. So after a short scene of what I would call domestic verbal abuse, really awful stuff happens with Zeke and his parents. The next day, Zeke, he can't take it anymore. He tells Kasaver, tells him about who his parents are, and his answer to all of this is to basically turn his parents in. Now, I know people are going to have different viewpoints on this scene. It is a very interesting scene where you can come away with a lot of viewpoints, but I think Kasaver told him this to save Zeke in a sense. I also think he did it because he saw Zeke as a son at this point and really cared for him and felt like the way his parents treated him was unfair, and rightly so, it is, but I think the outcome of that created a totally new issue and a new problem with Zeke. So we have a little bit of a flash forward a little bit. We're still in the past. Now Zeke has grown up. He seems to be more of an adult this time. He doesn't have a beard yet, so he looks his regular Zeke self, but much older. Kasaver is talking to Zeke and talks about how he's found out the effects of the Founding Titan on the subjects of Ymir, the Eldians, or whatever. Things like memory control, but as well, body structure control. 600 years ago, this is really awesome, by the way. I love this kind of stuff. It's funny to say it, but I almost get goosebumps talking about it. It's so cool. So 600 years ago, there was a disease, seems kind of like the plague or something like that was eradicated by the king. And the reason the king was able to do this, because of course he had the Founding Titan, but the Founding Titan has the ability to change the makeup of what the Eldians are. This is because Eldians are like a part of the Founding Titan's body, which is crazy to think about. So when they say children of Ymir, it's almost like they literally are children. It's very biblical in many ways. Christianity, everybody believes in children of God, right? So it has a lot of similarities to that. But Zeke brings up getting rid of the ability to have children to save the Eldians, which prompts Kasaver to basically drop to his knees and finally tell Zeke the truth about why he really became the Beast Titan. So as a young person, Kasaver, he wouldn't wear his band and he would tell people that he wasn't an Eldian, he was a Marleyan. He had a wife and a kid, and one day they found out. So his wife decided to kill his son and herself because they didn't want to be with somebody who was an Eldian. Kasaver breaks down, drops to his knees, and wishes that he was never born. And he also says that he always saw Zeke as his own son, which, man, that is so heartbreaking. The voice acting in this was great. You can really hear in his voice just how much pain that he has went through. And of course, the animation really backs that up as well. Mappa did a great job. But Zeke promised Kasaver that he wants to save the Eldians, not Marley, not anybody else, and he wants to euthanize him, which turns out to be Zeke's grand plan. Oh boy, let's euthanize everyone. That doesn't really sound like a good thing to me. I can see where they're coming from in a sense, though I do not think that is a good plan or the just plan. So, seemingly now going along with this plan with what Zeke has, Kasaver tells Zeke a way to break the vow renouncing war. And this is what we heard in the previous episodes, that a Titan of royal blood has to make physical contact with the Founding Titan to bring out this power. So the Founding Titan has to want to use this power to actually make it work. Then we cut to a scene where Zeke finds out about Eren. It's basically revealed to Zeke that, hey, his father is actually alive, and Zeke believes that Eren is being totally brainwashed. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's a lot of brainwashing going around in AOT. I don't think Grisha was exactly brainwashing Eren, since he hasn't been alive most of the show and most of Eren's life at this point. Zeke and Eren meet, and Eren talks about remembering his father, well, himself as his father, slaying the royals, and talking about children being squashed like bugs. He holds out his hand, and it's so disturbing, so eerie. The thing I noticed about this is the parallels on both sides between the people of Paradis and the people behind the Marleyan walls in Eldia. Both seem to be burdened, or maybe cursed, with a life of dying behind walls, no matter what. You know, you're going to this island to escape your fate, not create a different version of the same fate. Eren says there is no better salvation than not being born. I don't think this is the right plan. I really don't. I think there is a better way to handle this than to euthanize an entire race of people, if that makes sense. I get why you'd come to that conclusion, but if you do and you go through with it, it kind of makes you an evil dick. in my opinion. So the scene ends with Zeke giving Eren the ball, which is symbolic in many ways. We don't know what exactly is inside of that ball. There could be something inside of it. It could be the literal key or something like that. But it is symbolic of him finally finding that person he can trust to be the key to unlock his plan of euthanizing everyone. Then we cut back to the present, and Zeke triggers them explosives, man. Blows up the whole thing. Blows up the horse. See a violent scene with a horse on fire, and blows them all to high heavens. I don't think any of them are dead. I think Levi's time of being an active member in this cast, what I mean by that is I think the next person to die in this series is maybe Levi. Who is left? The people of Paradis are now just in a disarray. They've been taken over by the Jaegerists. It would make sense, I guess, from a story perspective at this point to have Levi die. So that's my theory. I think maybe Levi is the next one up to die in this series, and I don't want him to die. I'm not saying I want him to, but that is just my theory. But we'll have to see in the next episode. Either way, this episode was a fantastic episode. I love these flashback episodes to when they go back to these past versions of our characters that we know and love very well, especially when it focuses on Zeke, because I'm very fascinated by the way Grisha and Dina treated Zeke. At this point, we have even more context to suggest that these people, they did it for good reasons, but they didn't do it the right way. Because of their own folly and because of their own mistakes, they turned their own son against them and created a monster in the process. It's very sad, but it is what it is. Fantastic episode though. Fantastic episode from beginning to end. Loved it. Cannot wait for the final episode of this season next week. You damn well guarantee, guys, they're not ending it in the next episode. We're gonna have another season. So with that being said, comment down below what you think about Attack on Titan final season episode 15. I loved it. Did you? As well, I have a Patreon. You can go support me there. I have a Twitter. You can follow me there. You can comment down below. Do all those things you already know. Make sure to check out tonight's King of Anime podcast. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next week. Have a good day. Bye-bye.